Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we're diving into one of the biggest questions of our time. Who gets to write the rules for artificial intelligence? AI is no longer science fiction. It's in our news feeds, our hospitals, and our financial markets. It operates in a digital world without borders, creating a massive challenge. How do you govern a global technology when laws are national? This is the story of the quest for a global AI code of practice, a mission to prevent a fractured digital future where different rules create chaos, stifle innovation, and fail to protect us from the risks of unchecked AI. It's a challenge that's not just about tech, but about geopolitics and philosophy. Let's navigate the global matrix. The global conversation on AI rules is really a tale of three competing philosophies, led by the European Union, the United States, and China. First, the European Union. The EU has decided to be the world's AI referee. Their landmark EU AI Act is the planet's first comprehensive law on artificial intelligence. It's built on the precautionary principle, which means they prioritize protecting people and fundamental rights above all else. They do this with a risk-based framework, sorting AI into 4 tiers. At the top is unacceptable risk. These are systems that are an obvious threat to people, and they are flat-out banned. Think manipulative AI, social scoring by governments, or most types of real-time biometric surveillance in public. Next is high risk. This category covers AI in critical areas like healthcare, transportation, hiring, and law enforcement. These systems face very strict rules. They need rigorous risk assessments, high-quality data, human oversight, and full transparency. Then there's limited risk. This includes things like chatbots or deepfakes. Here, the rules are lighter, mainly focused on transparency. You, the user, must be told you're interacting with an AI. Finally, we have minimal risk. This is the vast majority of AI, like spam filters or AI in video games. These are largely left unregulated. This tiered system is the EU's attempt to be both protective and practical, aiming to create a trustworthy AI ecosystem that could become the global gold standard. Now, let's cross the Atlantic to the United States. The US has taken a radically different, pro-innovation path. Instead of one big rulebook like the EU, the American approach is fragmented, prioritizing flexibility and market-driven solutions. The core idea is to avoid heavy-handed regulation that might slow down technological progress and economic growth. As of early 2025, there's no single federal AI law. The landscape is a patchwork of state-level laws from places like California and Colorado, various executive orders from the White House, and a strategy of applying existing consumer protection and anti-discrimination laws to AI-related problems. This decentralized approach comes from a different philosophy. While the EU model leans towards collective protection, the US approach champions individual autonomy and free market principles. The third major player is China. China's model is state-driven, with 3 main goals: national security, social stability, and economic dominance. The government has rolled out very targeted and strict regulations, especially on things like deepfakes and algorithmic recommendations, to maintain tight control over information. At the same time, China is pouring massive investment into its domestic AI industry, creating national champions like Baidu and Alibaba to compete directly with US tech giants. Here, the state's interests and societal harmony, as defined by the government, come first. Beyond these 3, other nations are forging their own paths. The UK is following a pro-innovation model similar to the US. Canada and Brazil are leaning towards the EU's risk-based approach. Meanwhile, countries like India and Japan are being more cautious, focusing on self-regulation for now. And nations like Singapore and the UAE are positioning themselves as global hubs for AI development with their own ambitious strategies. This diverse global map shows everyone agrees we need rules, But the big question is how to bridge these deep philosophical and political divides. With no single global regulator, a host of international organizations have stepped in to build bridges. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, was a pioneer. Back in 2019, they established the OECD AI Principles, the first intergovernmental standard for AI. It's built on 5 core values: inclusive growth, respect for human rights and democracy, transparency, security, and accountability. These principles have been endorsed by over 47 governments and have become a global benchmark. Then there's UNESCO, the UN's cultural and scientific arm. In 2021, all 194 of its member states adopted its recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence. This was the first ever global standard on AI ethics, focusing heavily on protecting human rights and dignity. We also have the Global Partnership on Artificial Intelligence, or GPAI, which brings together experts from science, industry, and government to turn AI theory into practice. The United Nations itself is getting more involved through its Global Digital Compact, which aims to create a comprehensive framework for digital cooperation, including an international scientific panel on AI. And finally, the G7 group of nations launched the Hiroshima AI process, creating guiding principles and a voluntary code of conduct for developers of the most advanced AI systems. While none of these efforts are legally binding, they are building a powerful global consensus on the core principles that should govern AI. But there's an elephant in the room: the immense power of big tech. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and Meta aren't just building AI, they're actively shaping the rules. They do this by creating their own internal ethics frameworks that often become industry norms, by investing heavily in lobbying governments, by funding the academic research that informs policy, and by dominating the technical committees that write AI standards. This raises serious concerns about regulatory capture, where rules end up serving corporate interests instead of the public good. On the other hand, these companies have unparalleled technical expertise. Their collaboration is essential for creating rules that are actually practical. The challenge is to harness their expertise while ensuring that AI governance remains a democratic process. Even if the world could agree on a set of rules, enforcing them across borders is a tangled web of problems. First, there's jurisdictional ambiguity. If an AI developed in one country causes harm in another, whose laws apply? Where do you file a lawsuit? It's a legal minefield. Second, conflicting legal frameworks create a compliance nightmare. An AI application that's perfectly legal in the US might be banned in the EU. We saw this when Italy temporarily blocked a chatbot over violations of Europe's data privacy law, the GDPR. This highlights the real-world risks of deploying AI globally without understanding local laws. Third, there's the question of liability. When an AI system fails, who is to blame? The developer, the user, the data provider? We still don't have clear answers. Finally, there's the pacing problem. Technology evolves so fast that laws struggle to keep up. By the time a regulation is passed, it might already be obsolete. These challenges show why we need much greater international cooperation on enforcement. While the world debates a universal code, sector-specific rules are already taking shape. In healthcare, AI is used to diagnose diseases and personalize treatments. This has led to specific regulations for AI medical devices and strict guidelines on patient data and consent. In finance, AI drives credit scoring and algorithmic trading, raising concerns about bias and systemic risk. Regulators are scrambling to adapt old financial rules for the age of AI. And in the world of employment, AI is used for hiring, performance reviews, and even firing decisions. This brings up issues of discrimination and privacy, and unions are now demanding a greater say in how AI is used in the workplace. These examples show that a one-size-fits-all approach to AI regulation probably won't work. Any global code will need to be flexible enough for different sectors while upholding universal principles. So what does the road ahead look like? We can expect a continued battle of ideas between the rights-based EU model, the innovation-focused US model, and the state-driven Chinese model. We'll likely see a move towards more agile governance, like regulatory sandboxes that allow for experimentation in a controlled environment. The future of AI governance will absolutely depend on a multi-stakeholder approach, with governments, industry, academia, and civil society all working together. The focus may shift from creating a single, uniform global law to ensuring that different national rules can work together, a concept known as interoperability. The ultimate goal is to find a delicate balance, protecting rights without killing innovation, fostering global cooperation while respecting national differences, and creating rules that are both strong and adaptable. The task is monumental, but the stakes couldn't be higher. The decisions we make today about governing AI will shape the future of our technology, our societies, and our shared humanity. The quest for a global AI code of practice is truly a quest to build a better future for everyone. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online.